Okay, so let's just have a quick overview of neck pain. As I was mentioning, we see in practice all the time, about this time of year, people start falling apart. And you're probably on here because you have neck pain yourself or you know someone that does. I myself have had neck pain before too. I know it's almost ironic that a chiropractor gets an issue with their neck, but my story was last year, I decided to do something that you should not do, but I've got a 3-year-old who loves mowers, and I was on my own with him and I needed to get the lawn mown, and he just wanted to keep trying to run in front of the mower as I'm riding along. So I thought, I can't have him doing that. Safety first. I'll put him on my shoulders, and I was pushing the mower, so he's hanging onto my head like I'm a rodeo bull or something, and my head's just going everywhere and I'm trying to push this thing. And anyway, long story short, it didn't end up well, and I had an issue for about 12 months. It's one of Australia's most common complaints when it comes to pain in the body. Now, at any one time, 1 in 5 of us will have neck pain. So if you think of a bus or a room, a lot of those people are going to be having pain right there, right then. But most of us will have had it at some point, and it's extremely taxing on us and society. And just having a look at the statistics, I looked these up on the Australian government website. Indirect and direct costs, it costs about $5 billion, billion a year. It's just staggering. It's about $5,000 per Australian per year that they're suffering from this. So that's the cost of seeing someone for help. It's also the cost of lost wages and productivity, absenteeism from work. It's a big issue. And it's much more than just an inconvenience. This really affects people. We're going to go through a few cases today to really see how this can get to. And hopefully we're going to be able to teach you things that you can do to not let that be you as a statistic. So Jesse's given me a short intro, but I thought I'd just give you an overview of who I am. I've got a couple of pictures here of me and my family and what I get up to. But as Jesse said, I'm one of the chiros in Orange. So Orange, we're in the Central West. We've got a great practice here. But I initially actually started with Jesse over in Mudgee. So I've got to see a couple of the practices and help people on the ground hands-on. But a lot of my role is actually outside of the practice itself as well. And that's helping our other chiropractors train and improve their skills, but also educating patients through that process. So if you're on our patient app, you'll probably see me showing you how to do your exercises. I really love getting in front of the camera, surprisingly. And I'm also on Instagram where I do a lot of those exercises. So if you want to check that out, feel free. It's all public and you're happy to see that. I've been in practice for about 16 years now. I've been with Jesse, I think 13 of those years. Where's that time gone, Jesse? Just flown by. But my particular focus that I love delving into is really that expertise in the spine, particularly the neck. And I really like looking at neck issues that lead to things like dizziness and also the issues that occur with concussion. One of the things that, from a practice standpoint, that really sets us apart that you'll see, and we'll go through this today, is that when we care for people, it's not just, hey, there's a sore spot, let's get rid of that sore spot. We actually want to find out why that's there and fix it. And the big thing there is that we don't just guess what's going on, we test it. We actually get objective measurements so we can see why is that person in pain, what's going on under the surface. And so that means we're not just another Band-Aid, we're actually getting to the cause of it, fixing it once and for all. And with neck pain, we see thousands of people, but we see very similar causes of this issue that keep coming back for people. And the number one thing people say to us when they come in with neck pain is they don't know why it happened. It just came on. They say, I just woke up with it. Nothing happened. It just happened. I rolled over in bed and my neck got kinked. Where I was just, turning in the car and all of a sudden I felt this stab in my neck. Now, commonly what people are told when this happens, when they see someone, they'll be told, oh, it's all right, it's just a bit of stress, a bit of posture. Here, take this and you'll be over it. And a lot of the time it does. It dissipates over time. But then it comes back again and it lasts for a bit longer and then it goes away. And it comes back again. And then eventually it gets to that point that it's not going away. And unfortunately, what we see in practice, and this is why it's so frustrating for everyone, is it gets to that point and it doesn't go away with those things and people don't know where to turn. And that's when they often end up in our office. That system that most of us have been almost educated with, it's broken, it's not working. And that's why that $5 billion that costs Australians every year, that statistic doesn't just happen one year and go away. It's there every year. It's actually getting more costly every year. And the big thing here is that most of us are never shown the bigger picture as to what's causing neck pain. So as we go through this webinar, it's not the instant fix to fix all problems. It's education to teach you the things that you can do to prevent the problem coming on and to point you in the right direction to how to get these things right. It's not a sales pitch. It's education. You're going to be able to use something straight away that you can use immediately. And then if there's any next steps, they're always optional for you and they'll be explained clearly for you as well. This is the big thing. Neck pain is not random. It seems like it just came out of nowhere. It seems like you just turn and all of a sudden you've got a problem, but they're very predictable patterns. I'm going to teach you these patterns in a moment. Before we do that, I just want you to get that bit of paper, that pen you had, because I want you to start to think about something. When we start looking at neck pain, when people come and see us, it's gone too far and it's got too bad. It's not just the pain that's starting to affect them. This has now got to the point it's interrupting something in their life. And some people, they can identify these things really quickly because I've got several patients at the moment that their neck pain's got so bad it stopped them working. That's a pretty urgent demand to go and get some help. But I want you to think for yourself is what at the moment has this neck pain done for you or is doing right now to stop you from doing something that you want to be doing more of? It could be work. It could be spending time with friends and family. It could be simply just, I want to be able to turn in the car. Had a gentleman just last week, he's going for a tour around Australia on his motorbike and he wanted to be able to check his blind spots so he could ride safely. Now, most people, they get to this point and they'll say something along the lines of, oh, it doesn't stop me. I'm fine. I just get on with it and I power through a couple of Panadols. I'm fine. I just want you for a moment to have a quick look at the bottom right of your screen here and think about not just yourself, but what effect it's having on other people. And then if it's not there, have a look on the left as well, because this is all statistics. This is all people as a number. These sorts of things build up. And if you're not looking at that and thinking anything's on there related, you're minimizing, because ultimately it is having an effect beyond just something that hurts. The big thing we see in practice is sleep. People with neck pain, they don't sleep as well. And if you don't sleep well, your whole day is affected, right? You start on the back foot, but we know poor sleep leads to people being grumpy, so they're not happy around people at work or people at home. They may not be as sharp at work, so their income generating capacity reduces. They might not be able to concentrate as well. They get home fatigued, and you can start to see these things start to spiral. So I want you to look at this, think about it, and before we move on, write something down that you feel is affecting not just with neck and pain, but what this neck pain is doing for you day to day. And as I said, these statistics are pretty shocking when we imagine that the average person with neck pain is missing almost 2 weeks of work a year. These are people that we know, you know, they're often friends and family, or they might be you. It's very common, but it doesn't have to be that way. These are the predictable patterns. We see time and time again with this in health, but with the spine it's often overlooked, that when people have these things build up, these patterns build up, it's at the end that they feel it. So I want you to think for a moment different health conditions that satisfy this. If we think heart disease, or we think tooth decay, or we think osteoporosis, even cancers, we never feel these things in their early stages. But as they build and build and build, they cross a point, and it's usually at the end stage of that condition that we feel it. So think of a heart attack. It's the process that's been building up for years and years of that artery getting harder and narrower to the point it's not half narrow that we feel it. It's almost completely narrowed that we feel it. Same with tooth decay. It goes through the enamel, through the dentin, finally hits the nerve, and then we feel it. Now, the pain itself, when we look at this, the pain itself is actually not the problem. The problem is what led to the pain. So if I use a tooth decay analogy, it's like going to the dentist and saying, listen, I've got tooth pain. Can you get rid of the pain? Yeah, the dentist could. He could just stab a needle in it, zap the nerve with some numbing agent, and you don't feel it. But that's not fixing the problem. The problem is the cavity. You got to fix the cavity. And that's the same with the spine. We're going to look at what those patterns are that build up over time that lead to that final stage of getting the pain. So we're going to be looking at what that root cause is, rather than just constantly chasing this pain, chasing the symptoms. this is often the thing that we see with people is they'll come in, they've tried all these things and they're symptom chasing. They've tried massage, they've tried Panadol, they've tried medication, they've tried stretches. They're never getting to the root cause. And of course, this issue just keeps coming back over and over and over again. So when we see our patients, they come in, they say, I don't know what I did. I think I just strained too hard and now my joint's gone out, or I slept wrong, or my posture's bad. Now, although some of these things may be the problem, I'm going to introduce you to a concept that's probably only really been understood in the last, say, 10 years or so, which is more towards the core of this issue, understanding that, and then we're going to look at how we break this cycle so we actually get back to normal faster. And it's got to do with neurology. So we've got a spine here, we've got a brain here. These two things are talking all the time. But what we now know is that we actually have a small structural issue that affects neurology, but then that affects the structural issue and we get this sort of bouncing back effect over and over and over again. So consider this the last 10 years of research that I've condensed into about 30 seconds. It goes a lot more in depth if you do want to go there. But put simply, if we have an issue with a vertebra, just to orientate you, we've got these little muscles in between the vertebra that are little stretch receptors. They're constantly telling the brain what's going on. So if that joint moves one way, the muscle stretches, the brain gets a signal to say, hey, you just moved that way. And that's how your brain sees your spine. So as an example, in the neck here, let's say you did something silly like I did, chucked a 2-year-old on your head and he thrashed you about for half an hour thinking you're a horse to ride along on. Now that has injured that joint. That joint has swollen and it's got stiff and it's got stuck in that position. It's not moving. So now when you try to move, your brain doesn't know what's going on. So we have this disrupted signal to the brain, and the brain has almost this map of our body. If it's not getting those signals, that map actually gets blurry. So if you imagine looking through some blurry glasses and trying to understand a map, you can sort of see what's going on. You may not be able to make out the names and the street names and different things. That's like our brain. It can guess, and it guesses pretty well for a while. But over time, that change in brain input adds to poor output. So if we get bad information in, we get bad information out. And that output will mean that we get spasm, we get tightness, we get tension because our brain's trying to protect us. Or it could mean that when we turn our head, our brain actually didn't even know we're turning our head and we've gone too far and we've sprained our joint. That's the really common one we see when someone just simply turns their head and they neck kinks or they wake up with a kinked neck. Problem though is that just doesn't happen once. It gets stuck in that cycle and it repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. And this is why we often see people get to the point that they had an issue 20 years ago and they've had these repeat episodes year after year and then month and day and then it gets constant. It's because this mechanism has just been building up in the background for years and years and years. And we know with neuroplasticity, things you do lots of become the new default. And so all of a sudden, this person that hasn't moved that joint in a long time, we can get them moving, but without doing the right things that we're going to go through with the 10-minute routine, we can't change the brain. So we've got a lot to do when that gets to that point. Now, one of the things that we see as the body adapts around these issues is postural changes. And this is one, because what we do lots of will become. The second is our body will adapt different positions to try and get around problems. And what I want to show you now is what normal looks like. And we're going to look at the two most common postural patterns that people fall into so that you can actually assess yourself. If you want to look in a mirror right now, that's good. Or you've got someone next to you to take a photo. We're going to show you what to do with each of those postural patterns to assist them. Now, as chiropractors, when we look at posture, we're looking at alignment from the side and from the front. And there's very specific points that we measure. So from the side, we want to see from the ground up, just in front of the ankle, just behind the kneecap, and then the side of the hip, and you'll feel that bone on the side of your hip. The point of the shoulder and the ear, they should all be in a single line. And that's the most efficient position for your body to load. And it's the one that's been shown to be most efficient for the muscles and the easiest on the spine as well. From the front, when you look at yourself in a mirror or you get someone to look at you, as chiropractors, we'll actually stand behind someone and put our hands on shoulders and hips and really see where they're at. eyes, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles should all be level. So when we look at posture, we are looking to find what distortion from normal there is. And there's probably several hundred postural distortions that could be there. We're going to look at the two most common that account for about 80% of these issues. This one here is a forward head posture, or we often call it upper cross syndrome. Unfortunately, you'll see people like this once you see it, and you can't unsee it because it's everywhere. This is really common, and unfortunately it's getting more and more common in this modern life. It used to be something we saw with people in their 40s and 50s. Now we're seeing kids with this, and you can imagine why. They're given an iPad at 2 or 3 years old and they're just looking down at it for hours on end. It's going to change their posture. So what we tend to see here is that the head moves forward from the shoulder, but we also get rounding of the shoulders as well. Now, this is going to lead to issues with people's necks with things like tightness, tension. It can lead to headaches. Eventually, it's going to cause degeneration of the neck as well, and then that starts to feed into nerve pain in the arms, and people might get tingly. But the other interesting thing is posture is also not related to pain. Pain is the end stage of some of these issues. But I want you to do a little experiment with yourself right now. I want you to emulate this posture. And if you're already there, make it worse. So get side on, put your head forward as far as it goes and roll your shoulders. Now, if you're all doing that with me now, it's going to feel a bit weird, but I want you to try and take a deep breath in that position. Okay, and relax. Now, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to roll your shoulders back and down. I want you to lift your head and sort of be really proud, and now take a deep breath in. And what you should have noticed is you were able to breathe a lot deeper. This posture pattern affects your cardiac output and your respiratory capacity. So this is not just something that's a postural issue that affects your neck. This is affecting your general health as well, and how well you can get blood around your body. So posture, it's aesthetic. We want to have good posture so it looks nice, we don't have pain. It goes a whole lot further than that. Now, if this is you, make note of it on your page that you have upper cross syndrome or forward head posture. We're going to come back to that in a moment because we're going to show you what you can do to try and minimize that increasing. This is the second most common posture, and we call this a swayback posture or lower cross syndrome. Now, this is a really common one we see with people that are in office jobs. And the reason being is when we're sitting all day long at a computer, we can't sit upright all day. So we tend to sort of drop into the seat, our hips roll forward, our head rolls forward, and we sort of end up, that sort of slouch forward position for hours on end. In lounges, when you're looking down at a phone, really common. And unfortunately, I see this actually at work. When we're in the office and when people are on their wobble discs, they just start to roll into that sort of snail position as well. It's really not a good look. Now, what happens with this sort of posture is we see the hips start to drop forward, and that's the primary cause of the rest of the posture. So once that drops forward, we don't walk around with our hips forward and just walking like this. We actually then compensate and bring the top half around. So we can see here the posture goes backwards first, and then the head has to come forward to compensate. So we can have all those same issues in the neck with headaches and neck pain, and we start to get disc bulges and pain running down the arms and pain between the shoulders as a result. But it's not coming from, the primary reason isn't the neck. It actually started all the way in the low back with that postural change that caused that to occur. And this is one of those issues when we start looking at posture, we've got to look at the whole thing. We can't just say, there's the pain and your head's forward, because it could be coming from somewhere else. And time again, we see people get an exercise and they try it and they might be sort of working on that, but they're actually not fixing it. They might actually be making it worse because they're not getting to the root cause of that postural issue. Now, this is a case of someone that has that forward head posture and what we see when we look at that person. So when someone comes in, we want to know exactly what's going on. We'll actually take x-rays of their whole spine. For this person, we found that their neck going forward was their primary issue. And on an x-ray, on the right side of the screen here, we want to see a gentle curve in the neck normally. So this is when they came in. This girl's actually called Amy. She's a nurse. She'd been nursing for about 15 years. And when she was at uni, she actually had a car accident. So she had a whiplash. Her neck got strained. Her neck went forward. And over time, that combined with study, She started to get headaches, pain in the neck. She started to get pain running between her shoulders. And at night, she'd actually get some tingling. And that's because of the nerves in the neck starting to get impacted. And for her, this led into difficulties at work. So she does night shifts. That was hard enough in its own right, but she was in pain. So she was giving her all at work to get through it. But she'd get home, she was grumpy. And then she couldn't sleep because she was sore. That led to, of course, all those relationship impacts at home with her kids and her spouse. And you can imagine this is having a real impact on her. Now, what happens here, that head goes forward. All these muscles back here are now under huge amounts of tension, but the weight of her head is now coming down the front of her neck. If this was left uncorrected for a long time, she's obviously going to get worse with her symptoms, but it then causes degeneration and she'll start to get all sorts of arthritis and disc degeneration and things happening here. So thankfully we got this in the nick of time, and over the course of 6 months with a combination of adjustments, so that's sort of breaking that cycle we talked about where it gets stuck in that loop, getting the joint moving again, giving her the right exercises, some of which we're actually going to show you today. We had to use a device called a Denerol orthotic, which helps with lengthening the ligaments in her neck, and also doing neuromuscular education, which helps change that neuroplasticity and helps the brain remember how to use those joints. We were able to get her to this stage here where we got that normal curve back in her neck. Thankfully, all those symptoms dissipated. She's doing really well. She sees us once a month now for maintenance, and she hasn't had an episode since. This is our sway back posture on an X-ray. So this gentleman, his name's Bo. He's a plasterer. And as we can see on his X-ray, his head goes forward, but can you see how the bottom is the first thing to track back from that green line? Now, we found that's the primary. On a posture photo, we can sort of see what that looks like from the outside. The giveaway here, and guys and girls, if you're looking in the mirror and you feel like, you know, I'm not that big, but why is my tummy sticking out so much? It's probably not fat. It's actually just the way you're standing. And we saw that with Bo. Him standing in that position was just sticking his tummy out, his hips were forward, his shoulders round, and his head went forward. And for him, I don't think he readily admitted this, but I sort of learnt this as we went. He was a gamer. So as a teenager, he loved sitting on his Xbox in a beanbag, just gaming for hours on end all through the night. For him, it eventually got to the point with plastering, pretty physical job. All he needed was he just leaned into his toolbox and felt a pinch in his neck, and from there it just went downhill. So for him, he came in after having this pain in his neck for about a year, wasn't able to lift his arms up to do all the sheeting on the roof, couldn't work out, actually had no low back pain. We decided let's get to work and do some things. So we're going to look at a couple of mirror image exercises that we used for this case as well that you can use at home. But as you can see, these things are correctable. They're not permanent. And for him, over the course of 12 months, we're able to get him into this nice, neat position. And it looks like he's lost weight. He actually hasn't lost any weight. It's just simply posture changing for him as well. So let's dive in to what you can do each day, a bit like I talked about at the start, like brushing your teeth, but for your spine, a 10-minute routine that you can use to get a healthier neck, one that's going to work. Now, we're going to look at the most common postural patterns that we talked about because they tend to happen for most people. I'm going to show you how to do it safely. But the big thing with this is not just a one-off exercise. It also isn't one of those exercises to do just hundreds of times one day and then never do again. It's a real consistent thing. Really think of it like brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth twice a day, you can do this twice a day. But we don't brush our teeth 30 times a day and then forget to brush them for the rest of the week, right? So that's what we want to do. This, as I said at the start, it's not a full solution to every single person's problem. It's probably not going to fix posture overnight, probably won't realign someone's spine. It's not going to reverse degeneration. But what it is going to do for you, it's going to improve your movement. It's going to improve the control of your joints so you're less likely to get injured. It's also going to reduce a lot of that protective tension that you might be feeling up through the top of your neck there. And it's also going to support the way the nerves can see exactly what's happening throughout your body. Now, of course, if that's not getting you there, that's where we need to do some proper care and really figure out what you need specifically. So the first one I'm going to look at is what we call a wobble disc. Now, you can try this while we're doing the exercise if you want, simply by just grabbing a small pillow or something to sit on. We have these in practice. You can get them from any of our practices. We'll also use them before your adjustments. But the idea here is you want something you can actually move on. So I've got a short video here to talk you through this, and we'll, if there's any questions around it while we're going, Jesse, let me know. So the first exercise here is mobilizing on a wobble disc. Sitting itself isn't the villain. The real issue is that we just get static. We get locked up in one position for too long. That starts to build uneven load in the usual spots up in the neck and the spine. The wobble disc, it looks great, but it's not magic, and it's not going to fix your posture or force you bolt upright. But what it does prevent is that total collapse by just adding in tiny micro movements that help keep your nervous system awake and your spine subtly active. It's like keeping things alive and responsive instead of just letting them settle into rigidity. This is especially handy during long sitting periods like desk work, screen marathons, or extended drives in the car. Now, with the wobble disc, great if you're at work and you're sitting a lot. It's a great tool to keep you mobile. And just as a bit of info why, your postural muscles can really only sustain one position for about 20 minutes. So if I just held my arms up and tried to hold them there, I could probably get to 20 minutes, but I'm going to struggle. Your spine has to do the same thing every day. So the wobble disc, what it allows you to do is keep that mobility there, has a whole host of benefits with the way the muscles work, circulation, the messages back to your brain with movement. But the real, biggest change it's going to make for you is your muscles aren't fatiguing under that static load. They're actually getting a chance to move around. That's another reason why stand-up desks are so popular, because we simply just change position. It's as simple as that. So a great tool to be doing each day. And if you aren't in a job where you're just statically sitting all day, this wobble disc is a great mobilization exercise to just free the spine up at the end of the day. Really encourage that one. Now, we've got a video here. Actually, Jesse, you're the one doing this video. So Dr. Jesse is actually demonstrating with Dr. Shelley how to do that sway back postural position. And then I'm going to show you the other one, which is a slight change for that forward head position as well.
So guys, in this one, what we're going to see is Shelley is going to be leaning way back too far. So pelvis is here, middle back's going to be rounding, head's pushing forward, getting things like headaches, low back pain. So the way we're going to address this is with a block. You can also use the rolled up towel. And we're basically going to do the exact opposite of Shelley's posture. This is the whole mirror image. So we're going to place a block because we want to push her, because her back's rounded, we want to reverse that. So we're going to stick her bum here on the wall, and we're going to have her turn her hands outways, and we're going to retract the shoulders and head hard against the wall. And what I want Shelley to do is really squeeze it for about a second and then relax. We're going to do this 10 times. Important, keeping the bum on the wall and really retracting the shoulders. The beauty of it though is you're talking 10 seconds worth of work, not hours. All you've got to do, 1 second hold 10 times. And if you can do this every 45 minutes to an hour when you're sitting or you're knitting or you're hunched over a workbench or whatever it is you do, this will help reset your posture, get you upright and give you some relief.
All right, so with that one, that's for that sway back position. Now, the idea, as Jesse was saying, is if you're actually rounded this way, the idea is you're trying to do not just back to neutral, but you're actually trying to go past that to the mirror image of it and really squeeze and hold that. If you're not trying that, get up now and give it a go, because even in the air, without having something behind you, if you try and pull those shoulders back and down, pull your head back, you should really feel like quite a deep contraction and stretch in the middle of your spine. Now, with the forward head position, it's almost exactly the same. Instead of trying to pull your hips back to the wall, you're just literally standing against the block that's behind you. And what I get people to do in the office is they lift their chin slightly and then try and pull their head back all the way to the wall. Now at home, if you've got like a towel behind you and you can get to the wall really easily, it's too small. You need to try and get it as big as you can so that you just get to the wall, and you want to hold it there for a second. I actually like a bit of a breath in there too. So if you're pulling in, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, you can really sink into that and get a really deep stretch and contraction as well. Now, this next one, we're going to be looking at a foam roller exercise. Now, with the foam roller, once again, a towel is a substitute that you could use. However, it's almost a staple. Everyone should have a foam roller. They're really easy to get, whether it's at the shops or whether you get them from the practice. I encourage you just to get one, because you can even use this foam roller as the block that you use for your mirror image exercises as well. So let's have a look at this one as well. Now, using a foam roller is a great tool for reducing discomfort in the neck and the upper back. But let's just be clear and upfront about what this does and also what it doesn't. First of all, it's not going to correct your posture. It won't reshape the spinal curves in your spine. And unfortunately, it definitely won't stand in for proper traction and adjustments. What it does provide is straightforward relief, easing compressive buildup, offsetting some of that daily postural weight, and making it easier for your neck to accept that normal movement again. So the key here is just use it gently, about 5 minutes in the morning to start fresh, 5 at night to unwind with just easy, relaxed breathing, no pushing or forcing. Now, these 3 exercises, they work together. So the wobble disc is going to cut down the ongoing stress during sitting at work. We then have the mirror image exercises to reset things, shift the directional input your neck needs throughout the day. And then, of course, the foam roller handles that compression relief to keep things tolerable. All right, let's continue. So that's a great exercise, that foam roller. As I said, feel free to grab one. They're really easy to get hold of. Now, a lot of people are going to do these exercises and they might even try care and they might even do exercises and all sorts of things to get rid of their neck pain. But I thought I might spend a bit of time on highlighting the reason that people don't get better. What is the real reason that it doesn't work? And most people aren't quite aware of this, but we see it in practice all the time. There's really 3 things that if you do, you have a 99% success rate of getting a good result. It's restoring the joint motion, it's supporting movement with exercise, and it's reducing the repeated stress that causes that problem to start with. Now, people all the time will come in, they'll see us, they'll get some good results and they start feeling good. And so they'll drop one of these 3 things. They'll stop doing their exercises, they'll miss a few appointments, or they'll go back to the thing that caused it, whether it's on their phone, at a desk, whatever it might be. So there's usually one thing that goes wrong for people, and it's one of these 3 things. What we aim to do when we see people for these sorts of issues is figure out what those 3 things are that are needed, whether it's they need a certain type of exercise, whether they need a certain type of adjustment, or they need to change something with their lifestyle. And as I was saying, these things get really, really specific. So we're not just going to guess and give someone an adjustment and an exercise and tell them not to do something or do something. We get these measurements so we can reassess them over time to see if it's working and get it right the first time. So what you'll see we do when people come to the practice is we'll get what we call a core score, which is a helpful tool to understand how muscles are working, how the nerves are working, if there's sites of inflammation. We'll also look at just generally how their stress levels are on their body, because that factors into neck pain quite a lot. This is a classic example here of someone that's experiencing a sway back postural issue. Once again, this person, no back pain, but can you see how their low back's working harder? That's what those blue and green lines mean. In the middle, yellow actually means those things are switched off. They're not working enough. And then their neck's overworking. And this is how granular we can get when we start to assess people to know what we need to do to help them. We also take x-rays for these conditions because this determines how someone's going to respond and what sort of things are going to be better for them. So here on the left, we have a reasonably healthy spine. There's a gentle curve, the joints are healthy. That person is going to require something very different from someone here on the right who's had a whiplash 15 years ago. And we can see they've got instability in these joints. There's generalized arthritic change in the facet joints. We've got disc degeneration and the curves on backwards. They may come in with exactly the same sort of pain, but they require completely different solutions. And the big thing here is I hate to see this because that's preventable. We could have done something 15 years ago for that person. Then the great thing is we can check this over time. Because remember how we looked at those predictable patterns and seeing that pain is the end result. It's in that last 10 to 20% of the health of the spine. Pain starts there, but pain goes once they're even 30% better. Now, this person here, you can see they came in as an absolute mess. A lot going on. They're almost off the chart with some of these readings. This was probably only 6 to 8 weeks later. They had no pain, but we can still see, hey, there's actually still quite a lot going on. And this is what I mean by that particular pattern. You start in pain, you come out of pain, but there's still so much more health to get out of the neck. And then we start to see this after, say, 3 to 4 months, and we can still see improvements beyond that too. Now, I thought I'd run through, I guess, another case study here. This is another sway back posture. And this girl here was a quintessential, I guess, picture of using the three different things that get them the result. So we can see for her, she had the sway back, but her neck was actually very straight. So for exercises for this, no amount of just doing those sort of mirror image exercises we talked about is actually going to get a curve in her neck. It might help the sway back down the bottom, but we had to use a specific device called Denroll. And this was her exercise that she needed to do to keep repeating. We actually did a motion study x-ray here that half the joints in her neck weren't working at all. So that required us to do certain types of adjustments. And then she was an absolute sloucher, just to put it lightly. So she was actually quite good posture up the top, but she was always slouching. We had to retrain her in how to sit properly. But like we've seen time and time again, these things can change over time if you do those three things all together and you essentially find the root cause and know what to do. So from here, we're going to jump into some questions in a moment, but there's really two clear options that we have with this information and what we're going to go through. One option is use that 10-minute routine, and I want you to do it every day for the next, say, 1 to 2 weeks. Apply what you've learned, and that's going to support your neck with what we've given you. The second option, though, is for those people that they want a bit more information, they want to get to the root cause, they want to understand what's going on so that they can have a much more specific process and plan that's actually going to get them from A to B and get them where they want to go and start them to allow to do things that they want to get back to doing. Now, the caveat here is this is only open for people that haven't been in the practice before and you're a completely new person coming to see us, or if you haven't been in the practice for a while and you want to get reassessed. Because what I'm going to offer you in this process is we will do all those tests we talked about. We'll actually sit down, go through history one-on-one, understand what's going on, run through our suite of diagnostic tests we need to do to figure out the cause of it. And that includes things like those nerve scans you saw. If we need to get x-rays, we can get them too. We'll take a posture picture. And then on top of that, we'll actually run through the report with you and give you an explanation of what that means for you and any personalized guidance you need. Now, there's no pressure or obligation. It's simply just clarity. And usually with that information, what the chiropractor can do for you is tell you exactly what the problem is, why it's there, but also what needs to happen to get you to where you want to get to. The time, the cost, the energy required, and what you need to do at home. So if that's something you want to do, I'm going to put a QR code up on the screen. Jesse's probably going to put a link into the chat that you can click on as well if you don't have a scanner for your QR code. And that will take you to a link that you can make an appointment to see one of the chiropractors in your local area. I think, Jesse, we're up to, I think it's 14 different practices across several states. So chances are, if you're watching this, you're already close to a practice and you're seeing someone, or you're not too far away from one that's near you. So here's the QR code. Feel free to scan that or look at the booking link in the chat. The big thing here is, though, if you're not the right fit for the practice, and we see that when you're assessing you, we're going to tell you. And we have a great network of other health professionals around us that if we're not right, we're going to know who to send you to as well.